Hello there. Hi. Yes, hi. I'm alive. I'm here. No, we don't need to refer back to the last video I did. That was like 11 months or so ago. I'm here now. I'm excited to do more creative videos, excited to talk about the movies that I've watched over the past year or so. Not a whole lot. My movie attendance has somewhat been diminished just by busyness, doing a lot of different things in the background, including some freelance video work. More details I'll get into in another video. So just excited to get back into videos and to start off with catching up on the movies that I've seen since about late last year and into this year. Let me know in the comments, what movies have you seen so far and what have you liked so far? Some really good movies have come out. What have you liked? Let me know in the comments. Alright, like these first 10 movie stubs, I'm just gonna rattle through, do kind of a quick lightning round here, starting with, here's Trap from M. Night Shyamalan. I think that's back in September. Oh, Trap, Shyamalan. Buddy, what is going on? I mean, the last movie, Knock at the Cabin, was really great thriller, adaptation of a previous book, but this being his writing, directing work coming back. Interesting, intriguing concepts, trapping a serial killer inside of a concert, I guess. That's intriguing on paper, but just falls apart in the rest of the script and the rest of the movie. Shyamalan, what is going on with this guy? I think this director-writer is way more mysterious than even the movies he puts out. Very strange quality, just drop in quality that we have. Next up, with Beetlejuice. Saw it with my wife. It was a good time. Not quite the same charisma or entertainment value I felt in the first movie, but it's a good time, good sequel. Guess we're getting a third one, even though I think Tim Burton and Michael Keaton both said, no, we're not doing a third one unless we don't need to. We're getting 3 Beetlejuices, so that's what we have coming up. Next up, with Megalopolis. I really geeked out over this trailer. I made a video reaction where I reacted to this trailer. I think I made a TikTok where I also talked about the absolute travesty, what the effery kind of movie is this movie. Okay, wow. So a couple of big thoughts that really came to mind is Best Picture contender. Is the least accessible movie I've seen in all of Coppola's filmography. 2 out of 10 stars for me. Francis Ford Coppola, passion project, just dumped like $200 million or so into this weird, what the crap kind of movie is this? Totally tanked at the box office, obviously, and Coppola is still doing more. Weird, wacky movie, just moving on. And next up with I believe this is Pixar's The Wild Robot. Wow, incredible animated movie, and definitely a tearjerker, as I've heard from many other people who have seen the movie. A definite tearjerker. My wife and I were kind of looking at each other like tears were streaming down. It's not like a sad movie, it's just deeply touching. Very deeply touching themes of parenting, of forming relationships with other people, or in this movie's case, with other animals who might be different from you, and the gang of characters joining up together to fight some external forces that come in. Wow, amazing movie. Great writing, fantastic animation. Next, with The Substance. Haley, I can never really remember her name. Haley Marquand, this lady, and Demi Moore. Fantastic and really creepy work. This really leaned into more and more into the body horror type of elements later in the movie with the strong self-image themes and the strong how much will you push yourself and sort of manipulate yourself to get what you want, and things really start to fall apart and crazy body horror stuff happening in the movie. I definitely understand many of the people who didn't like this movie this much, but wow, crazy, outstanding work in many different avenues. Didn't get much recognition at the Oscars like many people were rooting for, but really great, crazy movie. Next up, with The Brutalist. Starring, I think now 2-time Academy Award winner Adrien Brody. It's about 3.5 hours long. Didn't quite feel that long to me because it's just a very, very intriguing movie. Kind of a slow burn. Had no idea what the brutalist or brutalism was up until this movie. I thought it was maybe this torture-y type of occupation, like someone being brutal. Turns out it's a type of architecture. It's a type of like bulky, blocky building architecture. Really cool, intriguing story of I believe this Jewish character who migrates over into America, brings his brutalist ideas with him, starts building things for various clients. Guy Pearce is in this. Really great and serious and creepy businessman performance from Guy Pearce. Also kind of a slow run, but didn't quite feel that much to me because it was so intriguing. Really cool story, really great performances from everyone. Cool ideas, great story overall. I really liked this one. Rubbed off, worn off. Love Hurts. I think this was a Valentine's Day movie that my wife and I went into, starring Kiwi Kwan. Really nice to see him in this type of romantic comedy action type of movie where his character is trying to live a normal life as a real estate agent, a job that he really likes, working with clients and other coworkers who he really likes, and then his family of gangsters come crashing and bursting and trying to reclaim him, and he and Kiwi's character comes across his previous love interest. All kinds of gang action goes on as they are trying to claim Kiwi Kwan's character back for them. Really cool, crazy action, kind of John Wickian here and there. Very entertaining and very funny movie. Really liked it. NOSFERATU. Robert Eggers just coming out with more and more passion projects. This, of course, being the adaptation of the 1923 or so horror movie of the same kind of vampirical character of the same kind of title adaptation. Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, definitely Lily Rose Depp, one of the standout performances, along with Bill Skarsgård in this movie. Super, super creepy. Great take on the gothic and vampirical, if that's a word, vampire tones of the Nosferatu backstory, and Robert Eggers really fleshing out the Nosferatu character, where he comes from, the kind of dark world that he comes from. This movie really goes into kind of the castle setting that Nosferatu is in. This movie really dives into and juices out those really creepy and gothic horror dark details from the original Nosferatu story. Okay, next up with Wicked, Part 1. Very cool movie. Have not seen the Broadway show. Broadway shows just aren't really my thing. Great production value, which I totally see in all Broadway shows. I always expect that in any Broadway show. Just haven't seen this one. Maybe someday we'll catch up on it. But a really cool movie. This movie is just bursting with art direction. Lots of colors, lots of costuming, lots of sets, and lots of passion just bursting from this director, and lots of passion from the cast and crew as they are pouring into this project that they are pouring to meet the passion and the excitement from their audience who's going to see this movie adaptation of the famous Broadway show. Establishing characters, establishing where these characters come from, what their early lives were like. I'm sure going into more character depth and storytelling in Part 2 as we wrap everything up and the end of the story kind of meets where the Wizard of Oz will begin. I'm open for Part 2, but really cool start with this Part 1. Alright, next up with The Amateur. Just kind of went to this movie with some interest in seeing Rami Malek in an espionage thriller type of movie. Really cool seeing Rami Malek kind of branch down and do this different kind of avenue in his acting career. Kind of steering a little bit away from the biopics of Bohemian Rhapsody and Oppenheimer, doing more of an espionage action type of thriller. And it was a really cool movie. It's really cool to see kind of this smarter character who's not great with guns, but is better with other kind of weapons like bombs, and kind of using those bombs type of weapons to rig them up, threaten different people responsible for the terrorist attacks that he is trying to infiltrate, threatening different people in different ways to get the information he wants. Some he kills, some he spares, but then they later get killed by other means. Pretty cool espionage thriller movie, and really cool to see Rami Malek doing something else with his acting skills. Next up with perhaps the horror film of the year, followed up by a movie I will discuss in a few movies or so, Sinners from Ryan Coogler, starring Michael B. Jordan, and definitely a career collaboration that the two have had for the past 4 movies or so. Well, actually, the two of them collaborated on a very early indie film early in Coogler's career. The two of them have worked together fantastically in the Creed movies, and insanely great work here in this original piece by Ryan Coogler. This really cool period piece social drama, I guess, that then slowly transforms into this vampire horror piece. These vampire characters who kind of work their way into the story and infect some side characters that we have, and those side characters then slowly spread that vampirical disease, that vampire spread into our main characters and kind of our supporting characters and our main character ensemble here. So interesting to see that the vampire disease spread into kind of our main character ensemble. Then it presents a threat as our supporting characters infected with the vampire spread then start being manipulative and try to act normal, like their normal selves, to our main characters, to let themselves into this big club that the main character has built up. The manipulation going on. Can we trust them? Can we not trust them? What's going on with this vampire disease? Why are my friends now trying to kill us? Some very strong and cool suspension and tension, and definitely need to acknowledge Michael B. Jordan's incredible performance here as two characters, as two twin characters, and some amazing visual effects work going on to composite the same actor in the two different roles and all the different shots they're in together. Many different like moving shots with the characters together, many different static shots with the two two twins together. This movie does much more sophisticated stuff where it makes the twinning very seamless, makes the twinning very like cohesive and work together well on screen. Like they are literally two twins who are next to each other in these shots with the other actors behind them or other actors around them. There's this insane fight between the two twin characters, Smoke and Stack as they are called. This crazy fight where the two twins are at each other, the camera's moving around, it's very dynamic, like they're actually filming an actual fight between two actors, but it's the same actor sort of wrestling itself. Well, most likely the Michael B. Jordan wrestling a very similar body double, and then probably some facial tracking, some facial replacement going on with the body double. It's a really, really cool sequence, a really cool action fight going on there. Great performance from Michael B. Jordan as each of these characters. A really great ensemble performance by the rest of this cast. Fantastic work. Ryan Coogler is really up there in my list of directors. Michael B. Jordan is really hitting this out of the park. I think his best performance out of his career, Creed, is very, very close in there, but as Smoke and Stack, just unforgettable work. Fantastic movie. Love this so much. And next with one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Try to stick that up. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, or Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 2. A really, really great closure to Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt's Mission Impossible. Really great, just wild ride. Wild, kind of emotional coaster. Emotional roller coaster type of ride. Crazy action, lots and lots of things that this team has to accomplish in a very specific time frame. Lots and lots of globe trotting as they're trying to accomplish different tasks in order to get to the submarine that's underwater, try to tackle the AI entity that's going on. Also kind of tracking down Gabriel and what he is doing. We have this apocalyptic threat of many different nuclear missile sites around the world that will then be controlled by the AI and launched all at the same time. So we have this possible apocalyptic scenario that can erupt at some time. We have the political military leadership that's heavily dependent on Ethan Hunt now. That's like semi doubting him, but also I'm trusting you, but I'm not sure if you can do this. Ethan, this is like your one chance, or we're all done. The Earth is gone. Everything's gone. If you fail in this extremely complicated, intricate mission, boy, this is a heck of a ride. This is a heck of a movie. The submarine sequence where it's not just Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt swimming in his suits deep underwater, getting into the submarine. You have the submarine that's rotating, and you have different bits of gear and debris that are falling and clumping inside this sunken submarine. I was stressed out. Like, I was kind of not just on the edge of my seat, but like, what is going on? This is insane. I'm stressed. This is one of the most stressful movies that I've watched type of scenario. So that's a crazy sequence in the submarine. You obviously have the biplane dual fight between Ethan and Gabriel in the air, some real-life filming going on there. Kind of repeating the Mission Impossible fallouts where they have to cut the bomb wire at just the right time when they're depending on Ethan Hunt to finesse with his device in the right time when the two events just have to synchronize. Just so much craziness and so much sophisticated and complicated things going on in this. You could probably criticize this movie for being too complicated in that respect, and I've heard many people criticize this for being exposition heavy and dropping exposition. Next sequence, next bit of action. I kind of felt like the H exposition piece was just how these Mission Impossible movies work, and the previous movies have had many different exposition drops as the mission progresses. They hit different mission points. We, the audience, are learning more about the mission. We, the audience, are learning more about the background of the characters. We're at this place. Here's what's going on around us. Here's what's going on over at this site while we're doing this thing. I feel like the exposition drops have been normal and just have been happening with these mission movies. I didn't mind the exposition bits that much. It did kind of help fill in the story, help fill in what is the purpose of each of these events. And this movie really, really built things up, as we have felt that even up until Fallout. Wow, these stakes are already high. There's already so much going on. How in the world do we top Fallout in these two movies? And I think Final Reckoning really just knocked it out of the park. Crazy, crazy roller coaster ride, crazy action sequences. Had a great time with this, on the edge of my seat. Couldn't breathe that much during some of it. Great movie. This Mission fan is definitely happy. Mission accomplished, Ethan. Rest easy. Next up, speaking of more badass action and continuation of a saga, Ballerina. Whoop. Ballerina from the world of John Wick. Very nice treat as a John Wick fan to get an extra John Wick spin-off movie, even though it was expected within the year's tenure of movies coming out. I was very happy and very pleased to get kind of an extra John Wickian movie out. Ana de Armas, totally badass in this movie, and I think a lot of us who saw the awesome fighting skills that she showed in No Time to Die would translate into another action movie. Then here she is as his ballerina / highly trained assassin in the continental world of John Wick. really kicking ass, really going after the bad guys, but also showing some really great weaknesses where she gets into these intense close-up fights. She's having the upper hand, she's doing great, punching bad guys down, then the bad guy kicks her back, gets her down, suddenly gets the advantage, really pins her down, but then she sneaks up on them and with one upper hand or maybe something else comes out of nowhere, gets the bad guy down. So fantastic action sequences through and through. This had a lot more action than I was sort of anticipating. I kind of thought that maybe this would be more of a story center with not as much action, but no, this is about the same amount of 40% story and 60-70% action that the rest of the John Wick films have. Cool story of Eve learning about this cult of assassins world out there and the Continental trying to keep her from them and keep her safe and all that, but Eve just wants to seek revenge for them murdering her father, and Eve just goes out on her own up against the real bad guys, even though her training is probably not quite complete. She maybe doesn't have all those great skills, wants revenge, strikes herself into all these crazy big bonkers action sequences, fighting all kinds of different bad guys, fighting all kinds of people of all different shapes and sizes bigger than her. Awesome sequences with grenades and flamethrowers. The flamethrower sequence is just gorgeous with slow motion, very bright and vivid color cinematography, just delicious visual feast. I just knew that this movie was like, we know this is just slow motion stuff that we're just showing off. It doesn't add to the action. Well, it adds to the action. It makes the action cooler. But we're also just feeding the cinematics visual feast to the audience of these flamethrowers and these fires streaking across the screen and the bad guys and Eve dodging each other with these flamethrowers. That was an amazing sequence. And when Eve grabbed or picked up that belt of grenades from the bad guys she took down and she's running around with the grenades, I'm like, oh, come on movie. You haven't used grenades yet. You've used all kinds of other weapons, swords, guns, nunchucks, and whatnot. Let's use grenades, and he uses grenades. This movie presumably teasing more Ballerina after this, so I'm very excited to see more from Ana de Armas in this role, kicking more butt and blowing up more people. And not a movie, but just wanted to catch up on some Marvel Disney Plus streaming with Daredevil Born Again. So I caught up on the first 4 seasons of Daredevil a few years ago and really got hooked into that show pretty big time. The first couple of episodes really hooked me in. Very excited and looking forward to seeing this continuation of that. I really liked how this show focused more on Matt Murdock as the person and a little bit less on the Daredevil vigilante hero that he's portraying. I like seeing more of the person, more of the lawyer, more of the emotional conflict that Matt Murdock is feeling, especially after he lost his buddy Foggy in that first episode. Really crazy episode and really crazy fight sequence as Foggy is gunned down, Karen is there crying out for him. Murdock, I think he runs off, gets his costume on to tackle this bullseye, I think it is, vigilante, as he runs around chasing the bullseye vigilante around this building. We have this epic one-shot going on. They're throwing knives back and forth. But I also love how this show, and especially starting in the first episode, how sound and Matt Murdock's point of view with sounds really plays much more of a role, and now we're hearing more and more of Murdock's hearing points of view. In that fight, the sound slowly transitions back and forth from the fight, then we hear Foggy's heartbeats and we hear Karen's cries for Foggy to stay alive and stay around for the paramedics to arrive, and you can hear some of the breathing, and I think like the crying, whimpering from Matt as he's fighting the vigilantes, and the sound is kind of fading in and out between Matt's point of view and the fighting going on to bring us in and out from the fighting to Matt's emotional states, how he's hearing his best friend is dying on the street and his other best friend is trying to comfort him.
They're gonna be right here. They're gonna be here any minute, okay? You just...
Throughout the episodes, throughout this season, that the sound design is like very carefully, specifically chosen to not just be ambient, but also to go into Matt's point of view, which I think is different from most other movies which do point of view shots where it's just where the cinematography is done in specific ways to go into the character's point of view. And this series, of course, Matt being blind, goes more into his hearing point of view. So as he's walking down the street, he can hear different people talking, or he can hear Wilson Fisk talking from a distance, or he's doing different court business, he can hear heartbeats or hear what different people are saying and whispering. So I really liked how this series integrated more of Matt Murdock's hearing point of view in this. Wilson Fisk elected mayor and then manipulates different people kind of into his cabinet, manipulates different people into following his orders, into following his ideas, even though he's obviously the corrupt villain that's going on and has more or less corrupt ways of dealing with things in the city and corrupt ways of handling his mayoral work and just bullheading and pushing forward on different changes that he wants to see that maybe are too chaotic or too much going on, might be suspicious vicious, and more of his villainous ways start to seep through and come out as the series goes along, and we see the different people in his cabinet being kind of manipulated. Having this mad villainous character in this city office has those political parallels with what's going on in the real world. Some very high stakes going on in Hell's Kitchen with vigilanteism going on with this anti-vigilante task force that Fisk then deploys into the city. The emotional turmoil that Matt Murdock has throughout the series. Reunited with Punisher, reunited with Karen Page, and definitely some really cool fights with Matt Murdock, some really cool fights with Daredevil. Pretty cool second season of Daredevil. Again, I really like that this focused much more on Matt Murdock the person, Matt Murdock the lawyer, trying to deal with the law first and foremost, and being a vigilante last, second, but also seeing the damage that's slowly happening in the city, the damage that's slowly happening with Wilson Fisk in charge, and the damage happening the longer that Murdock keeps his Daredevil vigilanteism down, so it's a conflict there. Really cool season. Very excited for a third season that I think we can anticipate coming up, as teased by Vincent D'Onofrio. Some people denying it. I think we'll come along to another season. Very excited. And next we have Sketch. This might be an unknown sleeper film to some of you, which it was to me for a little while until I finally saw the writer-director named Seth Worley, and I saw a couple of videos come up online, particularly on the Corridor Crew Visual Effects React video, where they had Seth Worley on their couch talking about their new movie with Sketch, and I'm like, oh, that's the movie that I've kind of heard off and on. It's Seth Worley, that really cool independent filmmaker whose short films I watched quite a lot, like several years ago with Real Gone, there's Plot Device, and there's Darker, which kind of the Darker Colors, I think it's called. His Colors short film that Sketch is an expanded feature film on. So I found out about this movie that Seth really came out with it. Made plans to go see it, and I went and saw it. Really, really good movie. Little girl named Amber who was stressed at school from bullying and stressed at home with her brother and with her single dad raising them. She draws and sketches all kinds of different savage monsters who are doing savage things to other kids at school and doing savage things to other people in her sketchbook. This book is accidentally dropped into this magical, mysterious type of pond that's on the property, and soon later, one monster that she has sketched in the book has popped up and has started to terrorize some of the kids that's going on this bus. Then more of these monsters pop up. Amber recognizes them as monsters that she drew in her sketchbook and realizes that these monsters she drew that went into the ponds have just come to life and are terrorizing the city and causing all this crazy chaos that these kids didn't have to come together. These kid friends have to come together, learn to problem solve, figure out what's the best way to take down these monsters. A really nice, imaginative, and creative idea of bringing monsters to life from the sketchbook, and not just this chaotic things are happening, monsters are happening all over and we're trying to take them down. They are motivated by these anger issues that Amber has to deal with, and she does so by drawing all these monsters in the sketchbook. Then they're brought to life. All these monsters running around all kind of crazy, like this Jurassic Park dinosaurs running on a scenario with these really cool visual effects that bring these monsters to life on the big screen. Very imaginative monsters, very creative solution to dealing with these monsters, very nice character story with these sketch monsters going on. Very great first feature film treat from this independent filmmaker Seth Worley. Excited to see the next one that he does and the next bit of challenges that he runs into and just keeps growing as a filmmaker. Keep at it, Seth Worley. Great stuff. Keep at it. And finally, we have Weapons. With Weapons still being relatively new, probably still in the theater as this video is out, I will keep this part spoiler free, especially since the first viewing experience of this movie is most benefited with knowing as little about this movie as possible. No spoilers here, keeping this fresh for you. Written and directed by Zach Kreger, who previously came out with Barbarian, this one is about 17 children who mysteriously go missing in the middle of the night. Most of the townspeople primarily start to blame the second grade school teacher who had all these kids in her class except for one kid who is still in this class. Townspeople blame her, give her a really hard time about this kid's disappearance, questioning her at every turn. What have you been doing? What did you do to these kids that forced them to leave your classroom, to just force these kids to leave our homes in the middle of the night? All these different horror elements starts coming out, all these psychological elements start tormenting this teacher. And then the story in the movie starts taking these different turns from character to character. Different answers start to lift up, different horror elements start to lift up, and all these different creepy aspects start to come out from the mysterious disappearance of these kids. A standout part of this film's success is its storytelling style that has been done before in various effects, some to greater effects to punctuate a character's point of view, their weird experience going on in the world, their memory experience going on in the world. This movie uses its semi-non-linear storytelling style to reveal answers and to reveal reveal the different characters' journey in these really intriguing ways, where you get a small answer here, and then the next stage you get an even bigger answer that really helps with the previous answer that you got. So the movie really unwraps itself and unfolds itself and unveils different aspects going on in each character's storyline, different aspects going on with this crazy mystery, really approaching the mystery from different kinds of angles from all these different kinds of characters, and revealing different aspects of the story in these different crazy and creative ways. So really cool storytelling going on that Zach Cregger does in this, that he does in this very specific effects, and chooses very specific times to tell different stories, chooses very specific times to unveil different answers so that nothing is revealed too soon or too late, to increase the tension more and more in the most effective ways as each answer and each character's journey is revealed in different ways. Great ramp up of tension, great ramp up of horror and suspense, and once things kind of blow up and everything is sort of answered in the third act of this movie, how do we solve this problem? This is getting too out of hand. How do we solve this problem? Oh, that's how this problem is solved. And you are really engaged into how everything is resolved at the end. Really great storytelling style, really great performances across this, fantastic writing, directing from Zach Cregger here. Great horror moments, great moments of suspense. This is up there with Sinners, as people are saying, one of the top horror films of the year, one of the top films of the year. I've seen many people say this is perfect, 10 out of 10. Not quite perfect in my opinion. Some sequences go on a little bit too long, some storylines go on a little bit too long, some unnecessary details and unnecessarily long sections going on in this movie. Outstanding work. Excited to see what Zach Cregger is doing. And those are the ticket stubs. About halfway through the year, more than halfway through the year. What are more movies you're looking forward to the rest of this year? I think I've only seen like 15 or so movies this year. I feel like I missed out on a bunch of different movies. I missed out on Minecraft. Kind of wanted to check that out in theaters. There are many movies that I just couldn't catch up on. So are there any must-see movies that I missed out that I didn't list? Comment below. What are you looking forward to this year? What do I still need to see that I haven't seen? More videos in the coming days, in the coming weeks. Decided to get the camera back out, shoot more stuff for YouTube, shoot some more movie topics, some more movie reviews here and there, and see what more creative stuff that I have to do. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Look forward to more of those videos coming soon. Thanks so much for watching. Watch great movies, and I'll see you next time. Watch more independent films. Watch more indie movies. Indie movies are great. Just more support. Watch the sketch. Watch the weapons. Watch more independent films.